Hey everyone, Big Pauly back for a brand new video. Yes, it's time to take a look at everything I've seen in the month of August. Now, the way that I'm doing this video, I'm recording little snippets after every film that I've watched, rather than waiting to the end of the month and then talking about each one, because I swear you, by the time I get to the end of the month, I've forgotten about the beginning of the month. So yes, if you see me in a change of clothing, maybe one segment I'll be unshaven, I'll have dreadlocks, the light have changed, it's gone from dark to light. Don't worry, it's just the day that I actually recorded the video on. So let's start off at the beginning of the month with the first one that I saw, which is Cutthroat Island. So let's share my thoughts on that. Okay, so Cutthroat Island, directed by Rennie Harlin, who also did Cliffhanger and Die Hard 2. This stars Gina Davis and Matthew Modine, and also Frank Langella. This is a swashbuckling adventure in the style of Pirates of the Caribbean. But having said that, I think the people behind Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the Johnny Depp films, were heavily influenced by this film. I know Pirates goes way back to, you know, the ride at Disney, but the look of this, the feel of this, the comedy, the adventure, if you was to swap the character out for Jack Sparrow, you could easily mistake it for a Pirates of the Caribbean music. It's even got this swashbuckling anthem as well by John Debney. Okay, so this film is about Gina Davis's character, Morgan. Her father, a pirate, has just recently died, and he leaves a map. Yeah, well, half of a third of a map. Yeah, it's actually divided into three pieces. Now, there's three brothers. There's her father, there's Mordecai, and there's also Frank Langella's character, whose name's Dawg. Yes, D-A-W-G, which kind of sets the entire film up for all these catchphrases, you know. You dirty dog. It's going to be a dog's day. Dog day afternoon.
Bad dog.
Yeah, anyway, so she has one piece of that map. The film also stars Matthew Modine. And he's this pickpocket, he's this thief that gets caught on land and gets arrested and thrown into the jail. But Morgan and her crew need someone who speaks Latin so that they can translate the map. And speaks Latin. And at an auction, he gets sold to the highest bidder, Morgan. So begins an adventure. Why do they need this map? Well, when all three pieces are put together, it shows them the location of some treasure from a Spanish ship. Yes, so they have to put the pieces together, and it will direct them to Cutthroat Island. Now, as I say, this is a swashbuckler. So, you know, there's pirate ships, there's sword action, you know, there's cannons and guns and all sorts of stuff. Witty one-liners as well, some sexual innuendos that wouldn't look out of place in one of my Blu-ray hunts. But all in all, it's a swashbuckling adventure in the style of Pirates of the Caribbean. And if you like Pirates of the Caribbean, you are gonna love this. Definitely. The stunt coordinator on this is Vic Armstrong, and it's practical. Everything is practical. No CGI whatsoever. And they actually built two full-size ships for this film. And all I can say is at the climax of the film, if you've got a sound system with a subwoofer, turn it up and hold on to your hair if you've got any. Because my God, there is a explosion at the end of this film. One of the most impressive explosions I've ever seen in film. And everybody was having fun with this. Frank Langella was having fun with this film. I love this, he shouts. It's just everybody was having a ball and a blast. And I think on set they were just having a great time when they were making this film. Yeah, so this is a fantastic film. 1996, just one of those great swashbuckling pirates, Errol Flynn, old style type of adventures, Indiana Jones, just that you don't get anymore. So definitely pick this up if you love Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, the picture quality on this was fantastic. Very minimal grain, hardly any. Probably only noticeable on like sky and some bright sand and stuff like that. But it was a brilliant transfer. The sound is DTS HD Master Audio 7.1, which was fantastic. And some great scenes when they were in the jungle on this island. And there was just birds everywhere, tweeting from every single shoulder. And there was squawking above. And for a moment, I thought I was listening to an Atmos soundtrack because it was so enveloped in the sound. And it just felt everywhere. You know, you felt like you were just sitting in the middle of this jungle. So yeah, absolutely fantastic on the picture quality and the sound quality as well. It does have a few special features. Now, this is an American import because it's not available in the UK on Blu-ray, but you can buy this safe with the knowledge that you can play this because it is region free. It states on the back there A, B and C, and it's no problem to play it on your British player. So yeah, that's Cutthroat Island. We also have some really nice artwork on the disc. Just a really great swashbuckling adventure. Yeah, so I highly recommend this if you just want a bit of fun. Just a bit of afternoon or evening fun. Put it on, crank it up, get some popcorn and some rum. And just have a blast, because when you get to the end of the film, my God, is there a blast. Brilliant. That is Cutthroat Island. Definitely recommend that one. Love this film. Okay, so next up is The Meg, starring Jason Statham as Jonas Taylor. When a scientific exploration of the Mariana Trench goes wrong and a submersible is left stranded on the floor there, it's up to Jason Statham to go and rescue them. When scientists and explorers believe that there's actually something underneath the surface of the Mariana Trench, they punch through it to find this whole new world down there. But unfortunately, when they are rescued, they kind of let something up. And what they let up is a prehistoric megalodon. Yes, a killer shark, way bigger than any other shark that's survived, way bigger than whales, and it just wants to eat people. And then it's up to Jonas and a group of scientists to hunt this thing down and kill it before it nibbles on too many tourists. And all these scientists are stationed out at sea on this scientific platform that's got labs underneath, you know, underwater and things like that. They've got high-tech submersibles and all this science gadgetry. So it's up to the scientists to locate the megalodon before it causes havoc. Now, the person that owns and operates this science platform is none other than Rainn Wilson from The American Office. Deep down, he really doesn't want to kill this thing. He just wants a trophy that he can show off. Yes, and so it's up to Jason Statham and the rest of the scientists and the explorers to go on a hunt. That's right. Of course, this is on a bigger scale than anything like Jaws or Deep Blue Sea. It kind of feels like more of a Godzilla film at sea. But it also stars Ruby Rose and Cliff Curtis as well. This is a fun film. It's a fun film. It's in places a silly film. There's comedy moments in it. There's got lots of good action in it, and some good deaths, some funny deaths, and especially when this megalodon reaches like this little idyllic holiday destination with all these potential cheeseburgers just floating in the water. It's corny, it's cheesy, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah, really enjoy The Meg. I thought I'd give it a rewatch again because I'm going to see the Meg 2 tomorrow, so looking forward to that. But yeah, a lot of fun if you're into the Jaws and the Deep Blue Sea, Godzilla stuff, King Kong, all that type of stuff. Then really good creature feature. Yeah, so really enjoyed that. Okay, so next up we have The French Connection, directed by William Friedkin and starring Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider. I believe this is 1972, which is the year after I was born. Yes, okay. This was a good film. It's basically about these two Brooklyn cops, played by Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider. Gene Hackman's name is Popeye Doyle. I mean, really, who names your kid Popeye? What were you thinking? Yes, and they are chasing some narcotics. They're part of the narcotics squad in the police in Brooklyn, and they're staking out a group of people and that are involved with the French as well. The French are coming over to Brooklyn, and it's all to do with drug smuggling and that kind of thing. How are they getting the drugs over, you know? So the film starts out switching between the dirty, smoky streets of Brooklyn and beautiful Marseille with its glimmering waters. And once the French smugglers arrive in America, then Scheider and Hackman have to stake them out, follow them, try to prove that all these drugs are being smuggled. Now, the film pacing was good. It was a little bit slow for me at the beginning, but it did pick up. There were some good scenes in it. Of course, you got the really famous car scene in it, the chase scene. You know, what goes faster, a subway train or a car? There was lots of tension in the underground setting, in the underground station. There were some good shootouts in it as well. One thing I will say, I recently heard that they'd edited some dialogue on the digital version. I know which part they're talking about. It's when Popeye says, "Never trust an N-word." Yeah, so I know that they've removed that because of, you know, racial slurs and everything. I think they should have just put a warning at the beginning of it and not remove that, because it kind of sets this character up. It sets Gene Hackman's character up as a bit of a racist cop that he is. Even by, you know, barging into this bar full of black men and throwing them up against the wall, it shows you that he has a distaste for black people. So removing that line kind of removes his character, kind of removes the characteristics of who he is. So yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that one bit. So they should have just put a warning at the beginning of the film. You know, they just put the warning at the beginning to say it was a product of its time, and you know, the views are not accepted in this day and age. And that's the one problem with streaming, is that you're going to get things like this. You're going to get things removed. You're going to get dialogue removed. That's why it's great to have a physical copy. So yeah, really enjoyed the film. Lots of car chases, lots of shootouts. Gene Hackman was fantastic, brilliant. Roy Scheider was great. One question I do have: how the hell did they put that car back together again and make it look brand new? I have no idea. But all in all, yeah, I really enjoyed it. The only one thing that I feel could have been better was the ending. It kind of abruptly ended. It didn't end as I thought it was gonna. It's kind of like, we'll cut it there, that's it, and then put the credits. So I don't know if that continues on to French Connection 2, so you'll have to let me know, because I might not watch the second one before this video goes up. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed on the ending and how abruptly it ended. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It does need a 4K. It does need a 4K upgrade. The picture quality is very grainy, in some places extremely grainy. Flipping out, you can hardly make out any detail, especially in like darkened areas, like the underground or in a darkened room. It's so grainy. Yeah, they really need to do a 4K scan on this and remove a lot of the grain. But the sound was good. DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to watching French Connection 2 in time, but there you go. Okay, so that is French Connection. Okay, so next up we have Tom Hanks in A Man Called Otto, or my name is Otto. Yes. This is based on, I believe it's a Swedish film called My Name is Ove. Now, I did see the trailer for that, and it looks interesting. I might watch that version. Saw this version with Papa Bowman last night. It's a bit of a happy film. It's a bit of a sad film. Tom Hanks plays this character called Otto, whose wife has died. He's living in this kind of gated community. He looks after like everybody's rubbish and stuff like that. He's right miserable git. He's the Victor Meldrew of Tom Hanks. And he goes around every morning checking people have their parking permits on the car, making sure that the recycling tins are in the right container, and just having a moan at everybody. All the time this is happening, he's planning ways of killing himself, obviously, because he's finding it really difficult to go on without his wife. But a new group of neighbours come in, this Mexican family come in and kind of steal his heart in a way. They bring him some food, they get to know him, he starts to get to know them, and he's kind of roped into doing some babysitting duties, so he's getting to know the family. There's also this Moggy, this little cat that just keeps wandering around and keep coming up to him. But all in all, yeah, it was a really good film. What I really liked about it was that it also had flashback scenes quite a lot through the film. But they really worked well because it was telling you the story of when he met his wife and their relationship as it blossomed, the ups and downs they had, the tragedy that they had, and all leading up to when he lost his wife. So it was really well done. And the guy that actually played him younger is actually Tom Hanks' son, not Colin Hanks, it's one of the others. But yeah, this was a good film. Typical Victor Meldrew. Now, if you're in America or anywhere else, you might not know who Victor Meldrew was, but he was a grumpy old git in a TV series in the UK. He just moaned at everything, and that's pretty much what he does. But there was a lovable side to him as well. It was a bit teary in places, but there was also a few laughs in it as well. As Otto was trying to comprehend how some people survive with their mentality. Yeah, so this was a really good film. I really enjoyed it. I think Papa Bowman really enjoyed it. It's just a great film. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really did. So there we go. So that is A Man Called Otto. This is the Blu-ray. This is the German Blu-ray, as you can see there with the title. But my very good friend, Mr. Richard Hollyoak, RH Media, very kindly did me a new sleeve for it, an English sleeve. So we've got all the nice English writing and the special features on there. And the special features included the making of A Man Called Otto, Till Your Home music video, in the studio with Rita Wilson and Sebastian Yatra, and deleted scenes. So yeah, so it was produced by Tom Hanks and also Rita Wilson as well. But it was directed by Mark Forster, who did Quantum of Solace. So yeah, there we go. So that is A Man Called Otto. Definitely recommend this one if you want a bit of a feel-good film, but also a bit of a sad film as well. But a great character piece there, starring Tom Hanks in the lead role. Okay, so next up we have 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. I can't believe this is a 40th anniversary edition. Flipping Norma. Yes, 1982. This is an action comedy. Nick Nolte plays a cop. He's investigating the vicious slaughter of a couple of fellow police officers. In order to track down those responsible, he needs the help of Eddie Murphy's character, who's just coming to the end of serving a 3-year sentence. And he basically gets him out of prison for 48 hours to help him track down the cop killers. Now, this buddy duo is not as comedic as, say, for instance, Lethal Weapon. Nick Nolte is kind of like hard-edged and rough, and Eddie Murphy is a bit more loudmouth and serious, although you do get the traditional Eddie Murphy laugh once or twice. But yeah, this is a pretty good buddy film. You got, you know, shootouts, you got some car chases, you got stakeouts, so everything you need for a good 80s night. There's also quite a few familiar faces in this film that you recognise from other 80s films, everything from Predator. We also have Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul as well. Denise Crosby's in there as well, Tasha from Star Trek The Next Generation. And also I can't remember his name, but the police chief that likes to yell a lot, and he did that with Arnie in The Last Action Hero. But yeah, this is everything that you would expect from a 1980s action comedy buddy film. A good hour and 40 minutes of 80s nostalgia. Comes in this really nice glossy slipcover. I do love these slipcovers. And we also get a Blu-ray in there, and we get some special features, including a filmmaker-focused director, William Hill, on 48 Hours, theatrical trailer, and a Space Kid animated 1966 short as well. Now, the picture quality on this is pretty good. It's probably the best it's ever looked. There was a thin layer of grain. There was a bit of more grain at the beginning, but for a 40-year-old film, pretty good. Pretty good for, you know, a 40-year-old film. Dolby Vision as well as and HDR10. The audio is Dolby True HD 5.1. I had to turn it up a little bit more than I would normally do because some of the dialogue was quite low. I had a good use of the fronts as well. The subwoofer wasn't that deep, but then again, you've only got like dramatic music and shootouts. There's no massive explosions or anything like that, so it didn't use the full force of the subwoofer. But all in all, yeah, really enjoyed it. It's the first time I've seen it in a long time, so I've watched 48 Hours. I'll be watching another 48 Hours very soon, but definitely recommend this one for a bit of 80s nostalgia. Okay, so next we have Babylon 5, The Road Home. Yes, who would have thought we would ever get anything more Babylon 5? The show has been gone for so many years now, but it's still in our hearts. Yes, and to prove that, we've got a Blu-ray set coming later this year. Oh yes, baby, can't wait for that. So, what about an animated Babylon 5 movie? Well, Star Trek did it. Why not? Buffy went to the comics. So, yeah, it was good. It had a Babylon 5 feel to it. I don't know about the animation. The characters weren't that recognisable, some of them. I mean, they look good, but that's not how they looked. If they'd looked as animated as that classic look, then it would have been better. But yeah, unfortunately, some of the characters, you knew who they were because of the way that they were dressed, but they really didn't resemble them, unfortunately. So this is a story about Sheridan, president of Earth Alliance. The Shadow War is over, and he's leaving Babylon 5, and unfortunately at some ceremony they start this machine up that uses tachyons, and poor old Sheridan gets dragged into it and he gets thrown across time. and he has to interact with other characters and different timelines. He goes back to, to see his parents and other characters that are long gone. We also catch up with Commander Jeffrey Sinclair and Zathras as well. Yes, lots of characters come into it across different timelines and that. It was a good story. I enjoyed the story. It was only about 88 minutes. The special effects were good, especially the Star Fury battles against the shadow ships and things like that. So the space battles were really good. So as a series it could work, but they would have to work on the resemblement of the actual characters themselves, because Sheridan really didn't look anything like Sheridan. Now as for the voice artists, now unfortunately some of the cast members have actually passed away since Babylon 5. But we do have Bruce Boxleitner back to reprise his voice, the voice of John Sheridan. We've also got Claudia Christian back as well. We have Peter Jurassic. I'll talk about him in a minute. We also have Andrea Thompson back as well. Jakar didn't really sound Jakarish. And neither did Richard Biggs's character, the Doctor. Tracy Scoggins, she was actually, her voice was in it as well. And Delenn wasn't Delenish enough. So yeah, I mean, it must be hard to try and find someone that can imitate them and be good as a voice artist. But I'm sure they could have done a little bit better finding closer to the actual actors' voices. But you knew when you was in this that you were really truly in a Babylon 5 universe when Peter Jurassic as Londo Mollari spoke, because it's like nothing. It's like no time has gone. It's like he stepped straight back into it as if no time. So fantastic. So other than that, it was a good film. That's the only problem I had with it, was the animation of the characters themselves. The look of it looked great, the feel of it looked great, the music was great. Most of the voice artists were good enough, but it was just that animation. If it had looked more like that, then it could have been a winner. But yeah, there we go. So that is Babylon 5, The Road Home. I really did enjoy it. I am looking forward to the Blu-ray box set that's coming out in December. Can't wait for that. I hope they also maybe re-release Crusade and maybe some of the other TV movies that came out as well. But yeah, that's a Babylon 5, The Road Home. If you're a Babylon 5 fan, give it a go. You might enjoy it. If you're not, if you're new to Babylon 5, give that a go. And yeah, really good. Okay, so next up we have The Hunt for Red October. Yes, from a book by Tom Clancy. This is basically the first story of Jack Ryan. If you go sub, go big or go home, basically. This is a great submarine movie. Lots of tense action in it. Cat and mouse chasing. And some great acting as well. Yes, this follows the story of Sean Connery's character, who's this Russian sub-captain who's decided to defect to America, and he's taking this big new powerful submarine with him. And it's fitted with this new technology where they could turn the propellers off and it can run silent. So it could just sail right into the heart of its enemies and just blow them all up. So, of course, you've got the rest of the Russian fleet hot on his tail to prevent him from giving any secrets of this submarine away. And we also have Alec Baldwin as Jack Ryan, who's familiar with Sean Connery's character. And basically has to go and negotiate with him, investigate, find out what his true plans are, and if it comes to the worst, sink the boat. Yeah, and you also got the US Navy after it as well. So yeah, really good, tense submarine movie. Along the lines of, you know, Das Boot, or the boat. Yeah. Not so much action in the film until you get to the end. It's more suspense, and it's more to do with the crew and finding out who they are, and sabotage on board the boat as well. So, but it's a really good edge of the seat thriller. Yeah, so this sparked off, you know, the first in a whole host of Jack Ryan movies, including the TV series with John Krasinski as well, which is really fantastic. This is directed by John McTiernan of Die Hard fame. We've got a great cast in here. Everybody from Sean Connery, we've got Alec Baldwin, we have Scott Glenn, we also have James Earl Jones as well, Sam Neill, and a very young looking Stellan Skarsgård, who's the captain of another Russian submarine. So yeah, this was really good. This is a really great film, one of the best submarine movies out there, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. The picture quality was brilliant. It could have been a bit better, especially because a lot of it is in the darkened area of, you know, like the submarine and that. But there was a little bit of grain, but it could have been a bit sharper as well. The audio, I believe the audio was True HD 5.1. The only problem I had with the audio, I had to crank it up louder than I would normally because the dialogue seemed to be a little bit low. So yeah, I had to crank it, you know, up about 5 notches so that I could get, you know, a good interpretation of the actual dialogue. But other than that, great film, great film. So if you're in the mood for a bit of submarine action, throw in Sean Connery, throw in Alec Baldwin, and you've got a really great film. So that is The Hunt for Red October. Okay, so next up we have another Tom Clancy film. Yes, this time Patriot Games, directed by Philip Noyce. This time we have Harrison Ford as the lead character of Jack Ryan. Now, I have to say that I prefer Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan, both in this film and Clear and Present Danger. I think Clear and Present Danger is my favourite of the franchise. But this is a really good action revenge thriller. Basically, Jack, his wife and their daughter are in London, and Jack intervenes in an Irish terrorist incident on the royal family, saving a member of the royal family. But while doing so, he kills one of the terrorist's brothers. Yes, and the main terrorist in this is played by Sean Bean, and Sean Bean, who plays Sean Miller, he watches his little baby brother. Hey, baby brother. That's my Irish accent. That's all you get in. Yeah. He watches him get killed, and he makes it his revenge. You know, he's going to go after Jack, and he's going to go after Jack's family until his mission is complete. And in the background of the film is, of course, the IRA and Sinn Féin, and everything that they're trying to do to get rid of the royal family. But Jack is seen as a hero for saving a member of the royal family, and it's all about revenge. So this revenge tale takes us globally, you know, from London to America to Jack's house. We also get North Africa as well. The tension in this film is really good. There's lots of action. There's lots of shoot 'em ups, and there's a few car chases, a freeway chase, some bombs going off and stuff like that. So it is a really good action thriller. Now, amongst the cast, other than Harrison Ford playing Jack Ryan here, we have James Earl Jones, who returns after The Hunt for Red October. We also have Sean Bean, brilliantly playing the villain in this film. We also have Anne Archer, who plays Jack's wife. Thora Birch, I believe it is, who plays his daughter. I completely forgot Samuel L. Jackson was in it. And I recognised a couple of actors from British TV that maybe Americans may not be aware of. Firstly, there is Tom Watt, I think his name is. He played Lofty in EastEnders. He's the guy that was checking the light bulbs in the bookshop in the film. We also have David, is it Threffel? Also known as Frank Gallagher in Shameless. So yes, so this is Patriot Games. The picture quality on this is really good. Not a lot of grain. Dark scenes were good. It's kind of a dull film. You know, there's not a lot of bright colours apart from like explosions. The sound, I believe, was a DTS HD Master Audio. I think it was 5.1. Yeah, no, it's Dolby True HD 5.1. The sound was good. The explosions were good. The use of the subwoofer was really good. This one, as opposed to The Hunt for Red October, I could hear the dialogue a lot better. So the level was pretty good on this one. And the music, of course, was by, you know, the fantastic James Horner. So yes, another great film there. So that is Patriot Games. Definitely watch this if you're into your Jack Ryan stuff. It's one of the, you know, one of the better films. But I still think Clear and Present Danger is my favourite of the Jack Ryan franchise. But Harrison Ford is the best Jack Ryan. So there we go. So that is Patriot Games. Okay, so next up we have, are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Yes, this is based on the Judy Blume book, Loved by Millions. I thought this was a really good film. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, but it's a sweet little coming-of-age story. It's basically about this young girl called Margaret, played by Abby Ryder Fortson. She lives in New York with her mum and her dad. One's Jewish, one's Christian, and her dad gets a new job across the river in New Jersey, so they have to move. Now Margaret doesn't want to move. You know, she's got all her friends, she's settled, and she's happy where she is. And so they move into this really nice big house in this nice little community. Everybody's friends and everybody talks to each other. And it's about Margaret and how she fits in, and she's got to make lots of new friends, getting to know a new school. I'm wondering if she's going to fit in at this new school. Now, there's some good cast members in here, including Kathy Bates, who plays her grandmother on the Jewish side. The grandparents on the Christian side really don't have any contact with their daughter at all because they disapproved of her marrying a Jewish guy. We also have Rachel McAdams, who plays Margaret's mum. And then we've got the new friends that she makes. And the thing about this is, I thought it was perfect casting. These four girls really clicked on screen and they felt like they were friends. Margaret, after a while, blended in and got to know them, and I thought it worked really well. There's other kids in the school. There's like the goofy kids, and of course, being in school, you know, these girls hope that certain boys, you know, notice them. I've got to say though, out of the cast, now the girl that played Margaret, Abby Ryder Fortson, was really good. She fitted right into the role. And I have to say, the girl that plays Nancy, who's this new kind of, I wouldn't say Cordelia from Buffy because she's not that annoying, but she's kind of like the leader of the gang of the four girls, played by Ellie Graham or Elle Graham. I thought she was really good. She kind of has that screen presence that I remember back from Haley Joel Osment and Dakota Fanning. Confident and just something about screen presence. So I hope to see her in things later on, because I think maybe she's going to be quite successful. And a little bit of trivia for you as well. Ellie, who plays Nancy Wheeler, she actually played Jim Harper's daughter in Stranger Things. And the funny thing is that of course, you have Nancy Wheeler in Stranger Things, so there's a little in-joke there as well. And talking of Stranger Things, if Millie Bobby Brown hadn't been available, I think Ellie Graham actually could have been really good as 11. But yeah, I thought it was a really good, really heartwarming tale set in the 1970s, 1970 to be honest, so a year before I was born. It's got a great soundtrack, a great 70s soundtrack. You've got the look of the 70s, the colours, the cars, you know, the interior decoration in the houses. So everything was a throwback to the 70s. So you haven't got all these kids walking around school with mobile phones strapped to their heads. You know, nobody's got a mobile phone back in those days. And it was all about friends, all about connection and hanging out and talking to people, not just texting people. Yeah, so I thought it was really good. The attention to detail was really good. The clothes, just 70s, total 70s. As I say, the music is great there. The picture quality was fantastic, actually. It was really crisp and clean. The audio was Dolby Atmos. Now, although it didn't have a massive punching Dolby Atmos soundtrack, I did notice every now and again some activity on the heights and the surrounds. So it was a little bit more noticeable than maybe a DTS 5.1 soundtrack. But as I say, it didn't overly do it. There was nothing to expand on the heights, but it was still a really good soundtrack. The film is 1 hour and 5 minutes long, and it does have special features here. Special features include Finally That Time, Making Margaret. Are you there, Margaret? It's me, Judy. The Secret Crew Club, Margaret and Friends, Bringing the Period to Life. Deciding Margaret. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Deleted Scenes, a round table discussion and theatrical trailer. So lots of nice special features on there. And talking about that, it's being these young girls that are kind of coming into themselves and growing. Part of the film is about them discovering their bodies and just waiting for each of them to have their periods. So and some of the scenes are actually funny. You know, it may be touching and a little bit sad in places for some scenes, but it was actually played with a comical tone as well. So yeah, I thought it was really good. I want to say a big thanks to the guys over at Alternate Current PR for sending the copy of this over to me. I really enjoyed the film and I really appreciate it. They also sent me a couple of bookmarks as well. There we go. So yeah, very interesting little bookmarks there. So kind of, you know, comical because, you know, it's based on a book. So why not send a couple of bookmarks? So I might give one of those to Lulu. Okay, yeah, so there we go. Really good film. Really enjoyed it. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Fantastic film. Give that a go if you like coming of age stories. Yeah, really good. Okay, so next up we have what is considered third best shark film of all time, behind Jaws and The Shallows. Yes, we have Deep Blue Sea. Yes, this is directed by Rennie Harlin. This is basically the Poseidon adventure with sharks. Yes, there's a lot of crawling around underground, underwater laboratories. Yeah, so this film stars Thomas Jane. We've got LL Cool J, Stellan Skarsgård again. He's cropping up everywhere. I think I've seen about 5 films with him in over the last couple of weeks. We also have Samuel L. Jackson, and her name is not on the front there, but it's Saffron Burrows. Not quite sure why they've left her name off, seeing as though she's one of the leading characters in the film. Yeah, basically this is about a little outer sea laboratory, scientific laboratory, where they're trying to come up with a cure for Alzheimer's disease by drilling down into the top of a shark's head and taking out some fluid. They are that close maybe, to actually succeeding. So they're all on this floating rig, in the middle of nowhere, like a floating atoll, and deep underneath the water, you've got all these scientific labs and corridors and lift shafts and things like that. And even got a restaurant as well, yes, which is run by LL Cool J and his bird. And there's this incoming storm, and all hell breaks loose. And so do the sharks as well, yes, because they're in captivity there, and they start going nuts and they start eating people and swimming throughout this laboratory underwater, and more eating people. Yeah, so it's a fun action film, like I say, directed by Rennie Harlin. The CGI is a little bit ropey for its time. The sharks, you know, there's better shark CGI now, but it's, like I say, it's like Poseidon Adventure. You know, they're all underwater in these corridors, going through lift shafts and going through different cabins and stuff like that, trying to outwit these sharks, trying to survive. But there's a lot of action down there as well. They've got explosions and limbs being nibbled off. So yeah, it's a really good film, really fun, cheesy shark film. One of the better ones, like I say, it's my third favourite, under The Shallows and Jaws. There are 2 sequels. I wouldn't bother with the sequels because they're not as exciting and they're pretty naff, really. It goes the same with the Starship Troopers. You know, the original is the best. The original is the best. So yeah, don't bother with the others, they're naff. And of course we have Samuel L. Jackson, who's the bloke that's put up all the money for this research laboratory. He goes out to check on progress and things like that. And he gets stuck there in the storm. And of course we get his big rousing Independence Day style speech. But it doesn't go as he hoped. Yeah, but yeah, there we go. That is Deep Blue Sea, a really good cheesy shark film. Picture quality on it's really good. It really could do with a 4K though. I'd love a 4K with this. Maybe with an Atmos soundtrack or a DTS-X soundtrack for a bit of bass, more bass on those explosions. So yeah, if you want a really good shark film, don't go down the Asda route and pick up one of those shark films for £3. Go for something like Deep Blue Sea, because it's a lot more fun, and it's a bigger budget, of course. So there we go. So that is Deep Blue Sea. I'd definitely give that one a thumbs up. Okay, so next up we have Knock at the Cabin. Yes. This is M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong's latest film from last year, I believe it was. I was excited to go and see this because it's always great going to see a new M. Night Shyamalan film. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what kind of twist you're going to get and what story setup you get in. This is actually based on a book called The Cabin at the End of the World. The whole apocalyptic thing got me excited. Now, I've got to say, the cast in this was pretty good. I don't know the name of all of the cast, but I've got to say, Dave Bautista in this was fantastic. It's probably his best film yet. Totally believable, and just shows you how much of a great actor he can be. Yeah, so this is about a film about 2 guys and their daughter that go and stay in this cabin in the woods, and they're approached by 4 individuals who say that they have to sacrifice one of themselves in order to save all of humanity. And if they don't, then there'll be disasters and all sorts of stuff. And the world will end and all 7.5 billion people will die. There was good tension in the film. It was a good setup from the start. I loved the scenes at the beginning with the little girl, the daughter, and Dave Bautista talking about grasshoppers. And I liked the look of it in the forest there with the whole cinematography and capturing all the trees and all the insects and stuff like that. And the close-ups of the little girl and the close-ups of Dave Bautista as well. The other cast members were good as well, and the 2 main guys that have the young daughter, it focuses a lot on them, their prejudice, and the things that they've had to go through as a gay couple, and past events, and getting their daughter as well, adopting their daughter. But overall, I thought it was a really good film. It was better the second time round. It's not one of M. Night's best films. I was a little bit disappointed the first time round that it didn't have a bigger twist, you know, because these twists from M. Night are supposed to be sticking the knife in and twisting and making you gasp. The big reveal, the big twist really wasn't there. I would have liked a much bigger twist on the end. But overall, yeah, really enjoyed it. Picture quality was fantastic in 4K. The soundtrack was in Dolby Atmos, and the audio was flipping amazing as well. From the banging, from the knocking at the door, it had a deep bass to it, so it went all around the sound field. In the forest, there was creatures chirping everywhere. There was grasshoppers clicking everywhere, left, right, and centre. It had a whole immersive feel in those forest scenes. Yeah, there we go. That is Knock at the Cabin from M. Night Shyamalan. A really good film. Not one of his best, but still very enjoyable. Okay, so next up we have Avatar, The Way of Water. Yes, the second in, I don't know, 6 or 7 films from James Cameron. Yes, and this film comes after about 257 years since the first film came out. That's what it feels like anyway. Yeah, the visuals in this were absolutely stunning. The story, it follows the same path as like the first film, getting attacked by the Sky People, and familiar characters, and just knowing the Navi, knowing the Navi. I got Zavi on my mind. Yeah, knowing the Navi and how they live, and Jake fitting in. This one follows years later. He's, you know, both Jake Sully. Yeah, both Jake and Natiri have got their own kids now. They're settled, and of course the Sky People come back, and basically they want to kill poor old Jake Sully. Yeah. And in order to protect the people of the Navi, they decide to leave camp and just fly out across the sea and establish themselves in like the sea people, the sea creatures. They're not exactly blue, the sea creatures. They're kind of aqua. That shows you that they're kind of like a different race, you know, kind of a different part of Pandora. We get lots of new interesting creatures in this. Of course, the main selling point is the water and the underwater world and the creatures and all that kind of stuff. It is visually very impressive. Visually, it is stunning. I know I watched it in 3D. I think these Avatar films, the only way to watch them is in 3D. This one was just as impressive as the first film, especially the underwater scenes. The underwater scenes had a lot of depth. Yeah, I had to get that one in there. It just looks so good. And I know a lot of people say 3D's not that good because you lose a lot of light and detail. You do not. You do not. It was vivid. It was bright. The dark parts needed to be dark where they needed to be dark, if that makes sense. But it was no darker than watching a 4K, honestly. And it's a much better experience watching it in 3D on my projector than it was watching it at the cinema in 3D IMAX. So it shows, you know, sometimes you have the best equipment. I'm not saying my equipment's as good as IMAX, but it's the surroundings as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film. It is a long one. This is, what is it? It's 3 hours, 3.25 hours, I believe. So it is a long one. Now, because they didn't want to do any compression on this, it's spread over 2 discs. So you have the old, you know, there's an intermission, you have to get up and change the disc, just like the old Laserdisc days, unless you had the double flipper Laserdisc machine like I did. Yeah, but I'd rather have it like that than have it all compressed and lose a lot of detail. But overall, Avatar is Avatar. You know what you're getting with it. Did it come along too late, you know, from 2009? I don't think so. I think the box office has proved that. It's earned over 2 billion, I believe. It's probably, what is it, about the second most biggest box office takings of all time now, along with the first Avatar, I think, and Titanic as well. So that shows James Cameron really is the king of the world. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We get some characters come back from the first film in a different way, but it really worked. Unfortunately, Avatar 3 has now been delayed until 2024 at Christmas because of the whole writer's strike and the actor strike. But it was going to happen with a lot of films anyway. But it's a little bit upsetting that we're having to wait an extra year. Yeah. And I think by the time the last one comes out, is it Avatar 6 or 7, I think it's going to be about 2032. Yeah, James Cameron's got to understand that we don't all live forever. Yeah, we only have a certain lifespan in which to see things. So yeah, don't wait too long. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film. Avatar is Avatar. You know what you're getting. Yeah, they're blue Smurfs, but they're blue Smurfs that look really good. So I definitely recommend this. If you can watch it in 3D, I would definitely recommend watching it in 3D. If not, then go for the 4K. But that's Avatar: The Way of Water. Okay, last up this month we have Operation Fortune from Guy Ritchie. Now, I love a good Guy Ritchie film. Lock, Stock, Snatch, The Gentleman, they're all great films. He's also done like Sherlock Holmes films, which are very enjoyable. This one, I don't think is one of his best. It's still entertaining, but it's not one of his best. So this film stars Jason Statham as Orson Fortune. He's a private contractor who goes out like a hitman, goes out and does certain jobs, eliminates certain people, like for the government and that. And the next job that he's given, he has to go and infiltrate a billionaire arms dealer, played by Hugh Grant, who plays it kind of the same as he did in The Gentleman, you know, the Cockney London accent, all right, governor and all that kind of stuff. And because it's not going to be that easy to get to this character, played by Hugh Grant, they decide to rope in his favourite movie star of all time, played by Josh Hartnett, who plays a character called Danny Francesco. So they rope him into this operation in the hopes they can get close to Hugh Grant. It was good. It was a good film. There's a lot of comedy moments in it. It's not as funny as Snatch or Lock, Stock or anything like that. It's a bit actiony, a bit of Bond in there, a bit of Man from U.N.C.L.E. sort of thing, bit of Expendables. But all in all, I thought it was okay. It's not one of Guy Ritchie's best films. But everybody was good in it. Jason Statham was good. Hugh Grant was good as well. So, yeah, it's okay. It's an okay film, but it's not one of Guy Ritchie's best. Okay, so there we go. So that is everything that I've watched for the glorious month of August. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you stayed right to the end. And like the video by giving it some thumbs up. Blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. And I'll see you on the next video very soon. Bye-bye.